Hi, this is Mrs. Zhu, and today we are working on our Unit 1 practice test. Today in class we wrote down in our foldable notes in the green tab labeled Unit 1 Test Review. And if you could please just copy this down. Those of you who were in class today did copy this down. Now for periods 1 we didn't finish. Periods 2 and 3 I did make a couple of little mistakes in terms of the sections, and then for period 5 I think we copied all of that down, so we're good if you're in period 5. And what you do want to pay attention to, the mistakes were here in this section. I said that they were different than what I've written, and I think that there's a couple of them that are listed here in our notes that weren't listed in our notes that we took in class today. So you do want to copy these down into your foldable. So go ahead and pause the video here. We're going to go ahead and move now to our practice test. Our practice test looks like that. The first question, we're going to tackle that one first, is we are looking to find the expressions that are equivalent to the fraction 16 over 24. We do need to select all that apply. Now if it says select all that apply, most of the time that would mean that there's more than one answer, typically. Okay, if it's just a regular multiple choice question like say number 6, then those 4 choices that you see, you're really just selecting one. But for a select all that apply types of question, you do probably need to be selecting more than just the answer E, because the most obvious choice here is E, where we do 8 times 2, which is 16, and 2 times 12, which is 24. That's the most obvious choice. So we do really need to go through each and every single one, cross out if it's not part of the answer, and then circle the ones that you want. So let's go ahead and look at A. 1/6 times 4 is the same as 1/6 times 4 over 1, which is going to give us 4 over 6. Okay, now is that the same as 16 over 24? 16 over 24, if I actually take 16 over 24, I can simplify that down by dividing by 4, giving me 4 over 6, which actually is the same as A, so actually 16 over 24 is the same as 4 over 6. If I were to even simplify that more, I could get 2 over 3. Let's try B though. I'm going to take 2/4 and divide it with 12 over 4. When I am dividing fractions, I need to use KFC. So I'm going to keep the first fraction, flip the 12 over 4, which is 4 over 12, then change the division to multiplication. So I'm going to do a little cross canceling here. Cancel that, 1 over 6. I'm going to get 1 over 6. 1 over 6 is not the same as 4 over 6, nor the same as 2 over 3. So B is definitely not a choice. For C, I am multiplying 2 over 24 and 8 over 24. If I multiply the numerators 2 times 8, I get 16. But if I multiply the denominators 24 times 24, I get 48. And that's definitely not the same as 16 over 48. So C is also not a choice. For letter D, I am going to divide, so again I need to do KFC. So I'm going to keep 5 over 12, flip the second, 8 over 5, and change the division to multiplication. I'm going to cancel the 5 and the 5. If I cancel the 8 and the 12, I will divide both numbers by 4, giving me 3 and 4, which is 3 over 4, and that's definitely not the same as 4 over 6, and not the same as 2 over 3. Okay, so D is also not a choice. If I look at choice F, I'm also going to do division. What I see here is 24 divided by 24 is the same as 1, and I'm going to divide that with 16 over 24. I want to use keep, flip, change. So take the 1, times it by the 24 over 16. If I do that, that's going to be 24 over 16, because anything I multiply with 1 is the identity property. So it's 24 over 16, which is the reciprocal answer. So F is also not a choice. So for number 1, A and E are our answers. It's a little tricky because a lot of people will forget to circle A. And in a question like this, you must get both choices correct. If you pick too many choices, then you get it wrong as well. Let's go to the next page. Let's look at 11. 11 seems a little bit wordy and maybe a little complex. Number 11, what we have here is that there is a quantity. We have to do two things in this open-ended question. First, we need to provide an example for x where it's a negative number. So if I choose x, okay, and remember that this fraction is also a division problem, okay? And in a division problem, I would use my triangle of doom. If I already have that any number I choose will divide with a negative number, and I want the result to be negative, then in my triangle of doom, if I were to get a negative answer, then I would need a positive number and a negative number. So if I can choose for x any positive number, so I'm going to choose any, maybe like 5. If I divide 5 with negative 6, then I will get a negative answer. And that will prove and provide, well, that's the first part, is I provided that. And I said x is 5 for my first part. The second part, again, if I use the triangle of doom, this time I want to provide an x where the answer is positive, which means in my triangle doom, if I want my answer to be positive, then I need two negative numbers. Okay, just like in multiplication, if I have two negative numbers, I do the boom boom and it's positive. Okay, this is the same for division. If I have x as over negative 6, then if I choose any negative number, like negative 6 over negative 6, then I'm going to get a boom boom here, and they're going to be positive 6 over positive 6, which is going to give me a positive answer of 1. Number 12, I'm looking for all that apply, so I probably have more than one answer. So I do want to try all of my choices. Negative 13 divided by negative 6 is just like a fraction question. If I have two negatives in a division using my triangle of doom, then I would cover up the two negatives, leaving me with a choice of a positive answer. So I'm going to go through and take out all the negative answers. My answers are restricted to only positives. If I look at choice F, I see 2, 13, and 6, and that's positive. 6 over 13 is the reciprocal, which I don't want, so definitely not E. If I look at D, I see a mixed fraction. 13 over 6, if I change that to mixed, will I get 2 and 1/6? Absolutely. D is definitely also a choice that is an equivalent fraction. And of course, you do have your calculator tomorrow, so you are able to check some of those answers in a decimal format if you need to. And I will go a little quickly in this video, so please pause and rewind as you need to. And that's the beauty of watching the videos. Number 13, we are looking to find the average of the values, and then we're going to explain what that value means in terms of the temperature. When I'm looking for the average, remember that I'm simply going to take the sum of all numbers, basically add all the numbers, and divide by how many numbers of numbers that there are. So I see a whole week's worth of temperature differences, so I'm going to simply add all those temperatures together. Negative 8, positive 5, negative 4, negative 2, positive 1, negative 3, negative 10. What I'm doing is I'm going to use my T4 teams to help me with adding and subtracting. So I'm going to take all the negatives and put that on the negative team. 8, 4, 2, 3, and 10. take the positive numbers and put that all on the positive team. Add them all up. I could use my calculator if I need to. 12, 15, 10. That's 27 for the negative and 6 for the positive. I can simply then look at my T for teams, and whoever is the winner, who wins, is going to be my answer. So it's going to be a negative answer, and I'm going to subtract because I want to see by how many points did the positive team lose or the negative team beat the positive team by. So I'm going to subtract the two numbers and get 21. So the answer is the winning team, by how many points did they win? And then I'm going to take the negative 21 and divide it by how many numbers there are, which was 7 days in a week, giving me an answer of negative 3. That is our average. That means that the average, so this means that the average temperature for the week. Okay? Alright, we're going to fly by to get through a couple more questions. Number 16, read it on your own before I begin. Sandra notes that R divided by S is also equal to T, so a number. We know that in division, if I have a negative like a negative number and a negative number, then if I divide them, I should get a positive T, so that is a true statement, A. B, if I have a negative number R divided by a positive number S, then my result will be a negative T. I'm using the triangle of doom to help me. So B is also true. C, if I have a negative R divided by a negative S, a negative number divided by a negative number, should not give me a negative T, so that's not true. So I'm not going to circle C. And letter D, a positive R divided by a negative S should give me a negative answer, because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. And so yes, I also like to circle a letter D. Number 18, we're looking at an equation to represent what these arrows mean on our number line. As I can see, I'm actually progressing down to the negative numbers, starting from 0. So I'm starting at 0. I'm subtracting two numbers at a time, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. I could represent it as that and giving me the result of negative 8. I could represent it as negative 2, that I'm decreasing 4 times, which also results in negative 8. Okay, I could also write it as 0 minus 2 times 4, which results in negative 8 as well. So that's okay. That's what these arrows represent, that when I go to the left, I'm subtracting, and hence the reason why I have these negatives. And because I'm repeatedly going down for negative 2, then that's why I'm multiplying by 4, because in multiplication, we know that when we repeatedly do something, then we can just use multiplication to represent that. And the last question, last two questions I would like to do before 15 minutes is up is 23. I'm looking at the area of a rectangle. To find the area, I'm going to multiply the length times the width. So I'm going to multiply all of these answers. If I multiply 2 times 8x plus 12 for A, I would simply use the distributive property. 2 times 8x is 16x, and then 2 times 12 is 24. I'm going to put an addition in the middle, which is what I get for 16x plus 24, so I want A. If I try B, 2x times 20, that's going to give me 40x, so that's not what I want. Also not C, I don't see an addition sign there. I don't even want to do that one, I could skip it. D, 4 times 4x plus 6, I'm also going to multiply that and distribute. If I multiply that, I will also get 16x plus 24, so I want to circle that. And you try E and F as well. Keep multiplying and use the distributive property. The last one here, 27, that I want to do really quickly for us is I want to know if negative R divided by S is equal to a negative divided by a negative, which you're just going to say if that's true or not true, and then give some numbers for R and S that will make that statement true or not true. I think we know, though, that that's definitely not a true statement. So now prove. See you tomorrow.